Hey cookie friends, did you know that you can make your own sprinkles? I do it all the time, especially when I don't have the right color sprinkles for my cookie sets, and I just make my own and they match perfectly because it's the colors that I've been using anyway. So as you can see, I'm a bit of a sprinkle hoarder, but most of them are store-bought sprinkles, but I do like to make my own, again, because I like to match my sets perfectly. I've never found, for instance, a navy blue sprinkle, so I've been able to make navy blue sprinkles for something that matches my set. And then number 2 is because of the taste and texture, and number 3 is just fun to make them. The kind of icing that we need to make this work is a royal icing. If you try to use anything like a buttercream, it's going to be too soft, it won't dry, and it won't break up into little sprinkles. So we use royal icing. I use my royal icing recipe. You can get that online. You can purchase it individually or with my online courses. But you could just use a mix from the store that's not as tasty and it dries a little more brittle, but you're just putting a little sprinkle on your cookie. You're not really going to taste it. So you could do that or find just any recipe online. Okay, so let me show you how to do it and let's make sprinkles. There are 2 things that you can use to pipe your sprinkles onto, and one of them is parchment paper like this. This is just a pre-cut sheet that fits pans, but you could just cut a piece off of a roll and then put it inside of a tray like this so that it's nice and sturdy while it dries. The second one is what I like to use, and that is a silicone mat. This is a non-stick mat. You can find it on my Amazon page. I'll link it in the description too. But the reason I like to use it is just because it's reusable and I'm not wasting parchment paper. So I'm going to be using a royal icing that is kind of a medium consistency. If it's too runny, it'll just pool and it won't hold its shape like a sprinkle. If it's too thick, it'll come out and it won't smooth out, so you'll get kind of ripply sprinkles. So you want just kind of a medium consistency icing. If it's too thin, add powdered sugar. If it's too thick, add some water. This is in a tipless piping bag so that I can cut the tip as big as I want and I don't have to worry about cleaning tips, but you could definitely use a tip if you're more comfortable with that. So I've cut about 1/8 of an inch off the end here. This is total preference. If you want really wide sprinkles, like bigger, thicker sprinkles, then you'll want to cut more. If you want some tiny sprinkles, then cut less. So it'll just change the size of your sprinkle. Okay, so this part is actually super easy. All you're doing is drawing some lines and some dots, and they don't even have to be perfect. And it's super fun. Okay, if your line breaks like that, totally fine, because obviously we're going to go break them later. The line doesn't have to be exactly straight either because you're breaking it up, so you can just kind of squiggle and have a lot of fun with it. Okay, and then if you would like some dots for sprinkles, I guess you just call them dots. I'm just gonna make a bunch of these. And this is where it's extra important to have the right consistency, because if it's too thin, these will just lay too flat. If it's too thick, they won't get that nice, smooth, glossy top. You can make these as big or as little as you want. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is a great way to use leftover icing. If you have extra, you can make sprinkles, keep them for a while. They actually have a really long shelf life. I'll just do some small ones too while I'm at it. So I started piping the green and realized it's too thick. So here's a good example where they don't settle into a nice dot. They've got some peaks and and not very good shape to them. So I'm gonna thin out my green icing and try again. Okay, this will actually make a good amount of sprinkles. We're just gonna let this dry for a couple hours in my dry climate. Especially these dots will need a little bit extra time just because they're thicker. And we'll come back to it. Okay, while that's drying, just remember, if you like tutorials like this or anything cookie related, be sure to subscribe and like this video and comment. I love to hear what you think. I love to see if you enjoy it, if you learned something, if you make sprinkles yourself. Let me know how it goes. Okay, so this has been sitting for a few hours. If you're worried about it being totally dry, just wait longer. You could even test one of these and just squish it and see if it's dry. So here comes the really fun part / satisfying part. We get to break these up. You can do it with your hands if you want, or you could use a spatula or something to cut them, break them up. I'm actually just gonna use the mat itself. So you could start rolling this mat, and I've done that before, but then you actually get sprinkles on the back side of the mat, if that makes sense. So the first thing I do is fold it in half, and then I roll it up. So this is fun. Here we go. I'm already breaking. So I do that so I don't get any sprinkles on the back side. And then I just roll up the mat. And that will break up your sprinkles, and you can crunch them. They escaped. Okay, don't do that. Don't let them escape. Unroll. Dun da da da. Boom, we have sprinkles. And like glitter, it gets everywhere. It's kind of needs some scraping off the mat a little bit. The more you crunch, the smaller pieces you get, so you probably didn't need to crunch quite as much as I did if you want longer pieces, but kind of fun. So I hope that's fun and you get to make your own sprinkles. Let me know in the comments how it goes, and like and subscribe. Happy sprinkling. I don't know what that is. I'm not a spider. I'm a lover. Hi, cookie friends. That's it.
That's you memorized.
I got that far.